Hello, my name is Denise Galoni. 3 years ago, I started my own home-based business. I was fortunate to meet wonderful women along the way that have helped me through my journey. Today, I'm going to introduce you to three of those women. Corey Walmsley, who is an editor, Victoria Bush, who owns her own mobile notary service, and Marianne Arnett, who is a financial analyst and a certified divorce financial analyst. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Empowering Women. Hello, I'm here with Corey Walmsley. Hi, Corey.
Hi, Denise.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Why don't you tell the audience what you do?
I'm a writer and editor. I work as a writer. I work as a coach, writing coach with authors, and I also edit books. I also work with small businesses and nonprofits, helping them tell their story. So I do about pages, bios, that sort of stuff. And I'm the executive editor for Inspiring Lives magazine, and I'm also an author.
Quite a bit. And you have some of your books here.
Yes, I do.
What type of books? How many books have you written, first of all?
I've written 6.
6 books. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
And what type of books are they? Are they the same genre, or are they different genres, or what do you usually write about?
I have 3 different genres. I have one children's epic poem. I have, which I self-illustrated that one. I have an adult book that's women's humor, and then I have a series of middle grade fantasy that I have 4 that are done, and I'm working on the 5th one.
Wow. And then you're the editor of Inspiring Lives magazine.
Yes.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about that magazine? Because I think it's a wonderful magazine.
Well, thank you. It's intended for women who are, busy and they just have so much on their plate that they just want to come to one source for inspiration in all the areas of their life. So we talk about beauty and fashion, travel, food, books and film, basically anything that you want inspiration for, we have it.
And it's a beautiful magazine. The pages are beautiful. The layout's beautiful. I really enjoy getting that. Have you always had a passion for writing?
Yes, my whole life. I used to do a lot of short stories and poems, and I started working on my books in grad school. It was kind of inspired by a project we were doing. I had never written fantasy, and so I was working with a fantasy illustrator for it, and I was just inspired to start writing a full book, and a whole series came from it.
That's incredible. I know you and I have talked about, I want to write a book, and I still haven't started. What tips would you give anyone watching that's out there that thinks, I have this great idea for a book, how do I even get started? Because I think that's the major thing. How do you even get started with something so tremendous and so hard work?
Yeah, well, it's tough to write a longer work, definitely. What I always tell people is to start by writing down all your ideas and figure out what you're most drawn to and what your audience wants to hear. So, especially if you're doing fiction, or nonfiction, if you're a coach or an expert or you want to inspire people with your story, figure out what your audience needs to hear and decide what your purpose is. So if you want to educate people or if you want to inspire them to make a change in their lives, those are the sort of things you need to focus on. And from there you can kind of flesh out an outline and just work on it piece by piece. So you don't want to do like, oh my gosh, I have this whole book I have to write.
Right, that's the problem.
You look at it, break it down into small pieces.
I think a lot of people think it's very expensive to write a book. They may want to write a book, but they're not sure if they have to have a book deal or if they have to have a publicist or an editor. What do people do? How do they get started?
Well, once you have a book that you're happy with, you can either go with a traditional publisher or you can self-publish it, which I did self-publishing for all of mine. You have to work with an editor if you're doing self-publishing, somebody who you trust to guide you through the process and make sure that you have a polished work. You have to have it formatted so it's actually going to show up properly on the page when somebody buys that book. You want it to be the best product you can put out. So, you work with professionals who can help you do that. And then there are lots of different publishing platforms that you can use, and the ones that are my favorite are print on demand. So you can actually upload your book for a small fee, and then they will have it available on Amazon and some of the other retailers online. So people can just go on and order that one book, and you don't have to buy like 500 books.
Okay,
because
that's good to know.
Yeah, that would be a huge investment.
Right.
Yeah, so you can do it with any budget, really. But the big part is you have to build your audience to be able to do either traditional or print on demand, because you want people to sell it. Traditional publishers aren't going to be interested unless you already have a following and you can show them, hey, I have these people following, these people are interested in my book.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get involved with Inspiring Lives magazine?
I actually edited Shelley's books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I had known her before. We used to both be...
and Shelley is the editor-in-chief of the magazine?
Yes. We used to both go out salsa dancing, and that's how I met her.
Okay.
I ended up editing her books, and then when she started the magazine last year, she asked me to be her editor for the magazine.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you said that you also do editing for people. So if people have an idea and they want to talk to you about fleshing it out, or they have a book that they wrote and they're looking for someone to edit, you also do that for people?
Yeah, I do. I do writing coaching too. So if someone says, I have this idea, I want to write a book, I have no idea where to start, then I'll sit down and I do coaching sessions with them, get them clear through the book, and then I can take it, because I already know it so well, and I edit the book and get it cleaned up. I also handle the formatting, and I can upload it to
That seems like
platform.
a lot of work.
It can be, but I really love doing it.
And I guess once you do it, it gets a little bit easier.
Yes.
At first,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
probably a major project looking at trying to edit something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it can be.
Well, why don't you tell us about some of your books? You have some of your books here.
Okay. Well, I have my children's book. It's an epic poem about a knight that is brawny and brave, but he is also really clumsy. And he meets some ninjas by accident, and they happen to be very cowardly ninjas.
Oh,
and
okay.
they team up and end up helping each other solve problems and complete their quests. So it's kind of a fun little quirky book. My series here, I have four books in my middle grade fantasy series, and it's about a girl and her best friends. They find an entrance to a secret world in her family's ice cream shop, and they end up going down into the world and helping them try to figure out how to circumvent all this stuff that's going on with this secret society that's there, that's doing all kinds of bad stuff, because they want to encourage them to move to the Earth's surface and take over where humans live.
It's quite an imagination.
Thank you. And then I have Confessions of the Editor Brigand, and it's a lot about some of my past where I used to be an editor, and it was kind of frustrating working on all this stuff, and you just don't feel like you're respected or whatever. And so my character is a lot like that, and her friends convince her to go on vacation, and she ends up getting talked into editing signs and stuff, whatever she sees, kind of covertly. She goes out in the middle of the night dressed in black and is like fixing signs, and she's really trying to discover what her purpose is in life and how she can work with people who really need her instead of like forcing the editing on people. So it's kind of a self-discovery book, and finding your passion. And
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Next for my books, I'm working on the fifth book in the Martina McKenzie series.
Okay.
And continuing to edit the magazine. I'm trying to pull together some live events where I can work with people who really want to write books, but they're not sure how. Doing my coaching and editing, and that's probably all I have time for.
With two little kids, that's
Yes.
probably about it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Corey. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the audience?
Yeah, actually, my tagline is, together we cultivate the words that connect. And that's because, when you're working on anything that you're writing, you don't do it in a vacuum. You're working with other people, you're inspired by something or someone, and so, we're working together, and the whole connection piece is so important when you're writing. So that's what I work with people on is, how do we connect with your audience? What do they want to hear? And it's just so important to connect and work together and, write.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
My guest today is Victoria Bush. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Denise.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
We have known each other a long time,
Yes, we have.
many years, and a few years ago, you told me you were going to start your own business.
That's right.
Why don't you tell the audience what type of business you started? It's kind of unique.
Okay. The name of my business is On the Spot Mobile Notary Services. I'm a certified signing agent as well as a mobile notary. So as a signing agent, I assist people that are closing loans, whether it's a refi, a purchase, and as a mobile notary, I go to people that perhaps cannot get out or have long hours and need a notary after hours.
And how long have you had your business?
It began in May 2012, and it was sort of interesting. I had been out of the work field for like 8 years. I have a son with Asperger's, and I wanted to be home with him during junior high and high school. So in 2011, my husband was hit with a medical complication, and I realized that I needed to get back out in the workforce. And it had been a long time, and I really didn't know what to do. And a mutual friend of ours, Justin Hampton, has Mortgage Solutions in Penn Hills, and he's a mortgage broker. And he said, he knew my background was in mortgage banking, and he said, did you know that loans now close at dining room tables? And I thought to myself, you know, that's crazy talk. But it actually is the truth. So I got my notary commission, and he arranged for me to shadow a mobile notary, a signing agent that he had used for many years. And I swear that day we went from Latrobe to Beaver Falls closing loans, and I thought, this is crazy and it's fun. And so I started my business, and it just took off from there.
Are you surprised how quickly it took off?
I really am. There's a few places that you can sign up as a mobile notary signing agent, and the phone started ringing immediately. I wasn't even prepared. You know, I thought, oh my goodness, I need to take my name off. But as I got established as a signing agent doing loans, then I eventually went to the next thing that I wanted to do, and that was work with people as a mobile notary.
Why would someone need a notary or a mobile notary in your case?
Well, in my case, a lot of times it's because people work long hours or people are shut-ins. I work with attorneys that have clients that are in assisted living or hospitals. And then, like I said, there's people that have forms that need to be signed, and they work till 8 o'clock at night, or they're only off on weekends. And I do work 7 days a week by appointment. So I try to take care of all those needs.
What do you think is the biggest mistake people make, that they don't have the correct documents in place until it's too late?
Hands down, from my experience and the phone calls that I get, it is durable power of attorneys and living wills. It's really sad to me that it's usually when the loved one is now in the hospital, they've suffered a stroke, that they now realize that they need that to help take care of their loved one's financial business or take care of their bills, and their hands are tied. Or they might have discussed for years with their family member whether they want to donate organs or whether they want tube feedings, and even though they know all this, without that signed piece of paper, their hands are tied. So it's hands down the one that I run into the most, that, you know, tragedy or a complicated situation is hit and they don't have those things in place to protect them and their family.
And then in that case, sometimes there isn't anything you can do.
No, in some cases there are not. I've had a lady call me once, her mother, they had brought in hospice and mom was not even conscious. And she said, I need, and I said, is there any hope that she's going to regain consciousness? No. Well, there's just nothing you can do.
That is sad.
It is sad.
For anyone watching, what documents should they have ahead of time, just so they could avoid all of this?
Well, obviously, you know, I've been talking about power of attorney. You know, get with your attorney, talk to them. I know with aging parents, and I work a lot with the elderly, because there is a lot of elder fraud, and I feel very strongly about that. So I tried to work a lot with the elderly. While mom and dad are still in good health and everything's working well, including their minds, this is when you need to discuss these documents with them, as well as let them understand that they're not letting go of their control over their life, that this is a protection for them. Because a lot of times they're scared,
right?
And they think that they're you know, someone's going to take over their life for them. So being educated about these documents, getting with an attorney, do research online. There's plenty of information online. So, but the one document that is something that we all carry on us that a lot of times people don't have, and that's a government-issued picture ID. And if someone does not have that, I can't identify them, a notary can't identify them to allow them to sign the document. So they might have had everything else in place, but mom never drove, so she never had a driver's license. Well, a passport, a Pennsylvania or any state identification that's government issued, obviously a driver's license, a military ID. But over and over again, this happens where they've let it lapse. Well, that's fine, you know, but as long as they're mobile, have them keep that up. Or even if something's happened and it's just an old driver's license, don't throw them away. Have some sort of picture ID.
That's interesting. I never would have thought of that.
Oh, it's big. It's
Especially
huge.
if someone doesn't drive, they don't need a driver's license.
Exactly. Now, young people know they need some kind of ID because they want to go to a party or they want to go to a certain type of store.
Right.
So just keep that same mentality. But that's exactly what you have to have just for me to be able to do my job.
And you can't get a government ID. It's just like a driver's license.
Absolutely. In fact, if you're at a point in your life where you're ready to surrender your driver's license, you can do that and they will swap you out with the picture ID free of charge.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great information. Thank you. What information do you have or advice you can give someone that wants to start a mobile notary business, such as yourself? I'm sure you learned along the way.
Oh my goodness, yes you do. There's certain things you just can't be prepared for. This is true. But if you would like to become a mobile notary, first you have to become a notary public. And I would strongly recommend you go to the Pennsylvania Association of Notaries. Their website is notary.org, very simple. And they have the education that you need. By becoming a member, they provide you with the education. They assist you with your application that goes into the state, and part of your membership cost takes care of that cost. You get your first stamp, you get a book on Pennsylvania notary law. I mean, and then you get 4 years of support. Your notary commission lasts 4 years. You get 4 years of support. And notary law varies from state to state. So being in touch with Pennsylvania is very, very important because it's completely different in Ohio, California. The laws are completely different for notaries.
Any final thoughts you want to share with the audience that's watching?
Yes, I do. And it sounds like a lecture, and it's not. But a lot of times people, when they get a power of attorney or any sort of form, sometimes they get it at an office supply store or they even download it off the internet. And that's fine. But I actually printed this out because this is the truth. And it's on the back of my business card. Get to know your own documents. See where they need to be signed, where they need to be initialed before I get there. I don't need to be there while you're making decisions on what sort of powers you're going to let the agent have. And it states, I'm not an attorney, and by law, I cannot explain or interpret any document for you or instruct you how to complete it or direct you on the advisability of signing a document. So as much as I want to help, even if I know the answer, by law, I cannot, because I can actually be incarcerated for answering those questions for you. So as much as I love you and I want you to have these documents, you need to take that ownership and learn about those documents yourself.
Thank you so much for being here and giving such wonderful information to our audience.
You're welcome.
My guest today is Marianne Arnett. Hi, Marianne.
Hi, Denise.
Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Why don't you tell the audience what you do?
Well, I'm a financial advisor. And my role as a financial advisor basically is to help people plan, save, invest, and protect their assets. That can entail anything from creating a budget to saving for something like a house or as important as your retirement. So also fixing your estate plan, how you want to set that up. And a lot of times I'll introduce my clients to other professionals that can help them do that, playing the financial role, but being part of a team of professionals that can help them make their future come true.
How long have you been a financial advisor?
Oh, well. I've been in financial services since the early 80s, so that's sort of giving away my age. But I spent about 20 years in retail banking, and then in 2000 I became a financial advisor. In between that, I actually marketed financial services, and I taught clients 401k regulations and helped enroll 401k clients in 401k plans. So that was interesting, but that was a lot of travel, and so I decided to go off and do financial advice myself.
Okay. And what type of clients do you usually work with? Do they have to meet a certain criteria for you?
You know, Denise, I'll work with anyone who needs my help.
Okay.
I just think that's important. I don't like to set criteria on them. I do have to say that I sort of gravitate towards women more for some reason. I think that I ended up gravitating towards widows. I seem to be helping widows a lot, and also divorcees, women who are facing divorce that sort of needed the advice of someone who has possibly been through it. You know.
Many years ago, I worked for a financial agency, and I used to teach financial management classes. And I learned in those classes a lot of people don't even have a savings account. They're not even sure how to start a savings account. What advice would you give someone that says to you, I really can't even put money aside for a savings account?
I think they should work with a professional. Seek out some help. That way, they're not intimidated by things that they hear in the media.
Okay.
There's always a way to save something. And we can get very creative in a budget and getting that set up, but it's really important to create a budget and stick with it. All my clients, I don't, whether it's on the financial advice side or whether it's on the divorce side, it's just very important. Budget's very important. And remember that it's not written in stone. So once you create that financial plan, you're going to hit bumps in the road, and that's okay. It's okay. You just have to, keep moving forward.
You said you work mostly with women. Are there common mistakes you see that women make sometimes, whether they're widowed or divorced?
Yeah. I would say that the biggest thing with women is women have a habit of putting themselves last.
Yes.
They put everyone else before them. And you have to talk with someone, get support from people that are going to make sure that you take care of yourself. You need to put that money away for retirement. Or if you're planning to help your child with their college education, you need to put that money aside. And then don't feel guilty about it.
I think that's sometimes women do feel guilty about
Women
that.
feel really guilty about taking care of themselves. And I think working with a professional really, really helps with that.
Now, you recently started your own business as a certified divorce financial analyst.
I did.
What exactly?
I did.
That's a mouthful. What exactly does that mean?
It is. I'm calling the business Harmony Divorce Solutions.
Okay, well, that's a nice
because
name.
divorce doesn't always have to be a battle. And what we do is we help clients and their attorneys understand the financial impact of divorce. Often the financial data, when it comes to the settlements, the financial data is unreliable. And so we want to make sure that both parties end up with a win-win situation,
Okay.
not a win-lose situation. We want to make sure that in the long term, they don't regret later on the financial decisions they made at that time. So we plan out the future.
I would imagine sometimes they don't even think that far ahead.
They
They're just
don't
trying to get
think
through
that
the
far
process
away.
of it.
That's right.
It's 'cause it's
That's
so
right.
emotional.
That's right. It's very emotional, and they. A lot of times I hear, oh, I gave him what he wanted.
Just to be done.
I just want to be done. I just gave him what he wanted, and that ends up, coming back at the end, and they're down the road, and it backfires. And I just don't. I like to protect people from going through that situation.
Yeah, that's important. Now, the next step is you want to become certified in divorce mediation.
Yeah, I think I know attorneys basically do mediation, but there are other professionals that do mediation also. And I think the reason that I want to do it is I want to make sure that I help with the emotional side of divorce. That way they know that it doesn't have to be an argument. They can mediate things. They can, ask for their ideas and their values in the ending of the marriage, and it doesn't have to be a terrible thing. I on my website that I'm creating, I have a statement that says, "Divorce is like a sunrise and a sunset. It's a beginning and an end."
Right.
And so you're going to move on.
And sometimes that's hard to think about during the process.
It is.
What advice would you give women that are thinking about getting divorced and not sure financially what to do or what to do? I guess leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that they should seek out someone like myself. And That way we can put together, work with their attorney, and we can put together these ideas. Again, avoid just wanting to end the marriage. Avoid, but seek someone out who can help you get you through it.
Because that's more an emotional decision. I just want to end it and just be done and give him what he wants.
And it's good to just have someone beside you saying, you know, this is the direction we want to go because, and educate them through it.
Because you're the voice of reason at that time.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's wonderful, Marianne. Any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
I think if you're contemplating divorce or you've seen an attorney, it's not a bad idea to see a certified divorce financial analyst. We call them CDFAs for short, because it is a mouthful. But we can then present them with financial data so that they don't have that financial regret later on.
And that's what's important.
It is.
Because once it's final, it's final.
You're right. You're right.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
And giving such wonderful information. I know there's a lot of times that women are confused. They're not sure what to do. They don't have an attorney. They don't know of an attorney. They don't know of a financial analyst. Sometimes their husband takes care of all that.
That's right. That's right. A lot of times they're in the dark when it comes to the husband just takes care of the finances, doesn't share it. A lot of times the woman just doesn't even want to know anything about it. And in a widow's case, unfortunately, when he's gone, and you need someone to help you find that information and bring all that together. And that's also a very emotional time, and you don't always see straight. So,
well, thank you for helping those women out there, Marianne. Thank you
You're
for being here
welcome.
today.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Empowering Women. I hope you feel inspired and empowered to go out there and live your dreams. I want to thank my special guests today, Victoria, Corey, and Marianne, for passing along some wonderful information. See you next time.